So we appreciate your forbearance.
Just getting started and doing a great job, ladies.
Aw, shucks.
Okay, I think we're getting there.
Appreciate you.
Just getting started and doing a great job, ladies.
Aw, shucks.
It looks like we're on.
Okay, I think we're getting there. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Okay. No, great job. Thank you. So we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, verse from Canto 11, chapter 6, texts 48 through 49. Vayam tviha mahayogin Brahmantam karmavartmasu Tvadvartaya tarishyamas Tavake dustaram tama Smaranta kirtayantaschete Kritani gaditani cha Gatyutsmite kshanakshveli Yanriloka vidambanam. Translation and purport by servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. O greatest of mystics, although we are conditioned souls wandering on the path of fruitive work, we will certainly cross beyond the darkness of this material world simply by hearing about your Lordship in the association of your devotees. Thus we are always remembering and glorifying the wonderful things you do and the wonderful things you say. We ecstatically recall your amorous pastimes with your confidential conjugal devotees, and how you boldly smile and move about while engaged in such youthful pastimes. My dear Lord, your loving pastimes are bewilderingly similar to the activities of ordinary people within this material world. Purport. In this verse, Uddhava, by stating Brahmantam karma vartmasu, humbly presents himself as one of the conditioned souls entangled in fruitive activities. Still, Uddhava is confident that he will certainly cross over the illusory energy because he is addicted to chanting and remembering the glorious activities and words of Lord Krishna. Similarly, Rupa Goswami has stated, Iha yasya harer dasye karmana manasa gira nikhilasvapyavastha su jivan mukta sa uchyate. Although one may outwardly appear to be involved in this material world, if one is engaged 24 hours a day in the service of Lord Krishna, then one is considered to be a liberated soul. Uddhava states here that hearing and chanting the holy name and pastimes of Krishna is infinitely more effective than becoming a naked yogi in the forest and running the constant risk of becoming, due to lusty desires and sex indulgence, a naked monkey in the forest. Uddhava is begging the Lord for the mercy of his Sudarshan Chakra, whose effulgence is represented by the process of remembering and chanting the pastimes of the Lord. One who absorbs himself in the incomparable bliss of thinking of the Lord's abode easily becomes free from all lamentation, illusion, and fear. That is the recommendation of Sri Uddhava. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, who's opened my darkened eyes and filled my heart with transcendental knowledge. I further offer my obeisances to all of you assembled Vaishnavas and seek your kind blessings and permission that I may reach Srimad Bhagavatam with you. So today we are entering two verses. These are extraordinarily merciful verses spoken by Uddhava, Sri Uddhava in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the 6th chapter of the 11th canto. These verses are for advanced devotees, but they're also astonishingly practical for all of us who are not as advanced. Uddhava is standing before Krishna at the edge of separation. The Yadu dynasty's earthly pastimes are winding up, they're concluding. Krishna is preparing to withdraw his manifest presence from the world. And in that very emotionally charged moment, Uddhava, he gives us a map, like a complete how to do for how conditioned souls can survive and transcend this world. The central phrase in this verse is dustaram tama. Tama means darkness. The darkness is difficult to cross. Tara means to cross over. Dustara means very, very difficult to cross over. It's not mildly inconvenient. It's not only intellectually confusing, it is insurmountable by ordinary means. The living entity wanders through karma, through duty, reactions, hopes, fears, relationships, disappointments, successes, failures. We're just wandering through all these, and we get really absorbed in any one of these at any given time. Even religiosity, or say religious activity, can become part of that wandering if it is not connected properly to the pure remembrance of Krishna. But Uddhava, he does not despair. He says, we will cross. There's some confidence there. How? Tvadvartaya tavake. By hearing and discussing your topics in the association of your people, your devotees. Vartaya means your topics. Varta. Varta can mean stories, your topics, your discussions. This is the great optimism that bhakti gives us, the confidence. Our world is dark, but it is not hopeless. Karma is very complex, but karma is not the ultimate. See? Maya, illusion, is very strong, but Krishna Katha, in the association of Krishna's people, Tavake, Krishna Katha is stronger than Maya. So the goal of today's discussion, this class, is not simply to admire the verse. We want to ask, how does Krishna Katha actually function as this boat? Why does Uddhava speak so humbly? Why does he remember not only Krishna's teachings, but also the details like his movements, his smiles, his glances, his intimate pastimes? And how can we, all of us who are very much surrounded by responsibilities and so on, how can we become Jivan Mukta? Jivan Mukta is that verse listed in the purport. How can we become Jivan Mukta? In other words, how can we become liberated even while we're still in this body? How is it possible to do this Karmana Manasagira, this shaping our body, mind and words around Krishna's service? That's the discussion for today. So this is, he's glorifying Sudarshan Chakra that you see here. This is the ocean we have to cross, but we have a boat. A boat is available to us. We have to climb on it. And the waves that will carry us to the light, these are sound waves. The sound waves of the holy name. And that's the sound waves of the discussion of Krishna's Vartaya, his pastimes, his glories, his teachings. And we want to end up become Jivan Mukta. So let us first place the verse in context. This is the 11th canto. In the 11th canto, Krishna is speaking to Uddhava. And this is like the last thing one of the last things that happens before Krishna then winds up his earthly manifest pastimes. Uddhava is not an ordinary person. He's not a casual listener. He's actually one of the most intimate associates of Lord Krishna. Krishna loves him like himself. Uddhava looks so much like Krishna. Gopis thought that's Krishna. That's how close he is to Krishna. Uddhava, is brilliant. He's a devotee of the Lord. He is faithful. He's emotionally so deep. And completely devoted, of course. Yet, his response is not pride. He doesn't say, I understand everything now. No. He takes the humble stance and he says, we are wandering here in the world on the paths of fruitive work, O Krishna. But your topics, your devotees, by all these things, by your topics, by the association of your devotees, by discussing your topics in the association of your devotees, we will cross this ocean that's in front of us. This is the voice of a true advanced devotee. Humbleness, the humility. It's actually hard for us to become humble. Sometimes we can portray humility, and it's good to try to at least act humble, because then gradually we can become humble. And some of us have even a hard time even acting humble. Like, I'm sorry, I can't act humble. No, we don't need to pretend to be humble, but at least we can go through the motions of being gentle and less prideful. It's not dishonest to do that. That's part of culture, being humble. And Uddhava just shows that by his words, the way he's speaking things. Doesn't mean there's no confidence. He says, I'm confident this is going to work, but it's not based on my strength. It's because of your kathas and your devotees that this is going to work. So it's humility combined with confidence. It's really sweet. This is the voice of an advanced devotee, Uddhava. Advanced devotion does not create a theatrical sense of superiority, a show-off. It creates deeper realism. Advanced devotees speak like normal people. They don't, it's not like so weird. And what planet is he from? When Prabhupada spoke, he spoke like so normal. Everything he spoke was so conversational, so straightforward, so down to earth. Advanced devotees don't speak so differently from other people. In the way their style and all that. It's just normal, gentle, cultured, clear, but normal. Realism is important to be a devotee. Uddhava, he sees the power of Maya and is humbled by it. He's acknowledging it. He sees the weight of karma. It's heavy. He also sees and acknowledges the dangers of forgetfulness. We came here to forget Krishna. And that keeps happening to us because we want it in our hearts. We want to change our minds about that. We want to change our hearts. So he sees the weight and the danger of forgetfulness. But he also sees the greater power of Krishna's words, Krishna's deeds, his pastimes, and the power of progressive devotees and their association, Krishna's devotees. Notice he addresses Krishna as Mahayogin. That's how he opens it. Mahayogin. Yogi means a mystic. He says Mahayogi means the greatest of mystics, O Krishna. So Krishna is not just a teacher giving advice to Uddhava. It's Uddhava Gita. No. He is the controller. He's a supreme controller of all yogic potencies. He can arrange remembrance. Krishna, you please arrange remembrance of you in my heart. Right, in 15:15 Bhagavad Gita, he says, from me come remembrance, knowledge, forgetfulness, and so on. Make me forget the things that I should be forgetting, Krishna, and make me really remember you more than anything else. Let me remember you. Let me not forget you. That's why he says, Mahayogin, you now please exercise your yogic mystic potencies on me, please. And Krishna asks, are you really serious? And we then have to prove, yes, I am. Yes, my Lord. In the privacy of my own house, I have to prove to the Lord, my Lord, I am interested in you. So he says, Mahayogin. Why? Because my Lord, you can arrange that remembrance. See, Krishna can arrange that remembrance of him. And that becomes the crossing of the otherwise uncrossable ocean that's in front of us right here. We can't. We have no boat. We're standing on the shore of this vast ocean, the size of the Pacific or even bigger. And we're just weighted down by our own egos. This is why bhakti, the bhakti process, is not a psychological trick. It's the Lord's own potency entering our consciousness through sound and through association. For progressive devotees, this context is crucial. We may be accustomed to hearing Krishna Katha. We may speak, we may teach, manage, lead, worship, read. But Uddhava's mood asks us, do we hear Krishna Katha as our lifeline? That rope that's going to save us. Do we really hear it with that sense of urgency, or do we hear it as more content to add to our real surrounding our ego? Do we hear in a way that softens our heart, in a way that uproots our illusions and binds us deeper to Krishna's lotus feet and makes us love Krishna's devotees even more? Is that the intent as we step into Krishna Katha? Because when you step into any particular activity, it has to have an intentionality. Is that our intentionality? That's what, Uddhava is challenging us to think about. Let us meditate on this line. Uddhava says, Brahmanta karma vartmasu. Brahmanta means to wander. Uddhava says, wandering on the paths of material work. This word Brahmanta is powerful. Brahmana. It suggests movement, but not necessarily progress. You see, wandering. aimlessly loitering, wandering here and there, not getting anywhere. This karma vartmasu, we may think we're getting somewhere, but we're on a hamster wheel. It's like horse races, right? Just imagine all these horses running out this racetrack. Let's make a circle. This is a very well trained horses just running, and come back to the same point. And they're looking at each other. Hey, we just ran like our life depended on it, and we're back to the same point. What was the point of that? Do you think horses ever ask that question? Probably not. They just care about the oat bag that they're going to get at the end of it. They don't even realize they've made millions of dollars for their owners. But they're just happy, oat bag. Get my oat bag. Brahmanta karma vartmasu. It's not necessarily progress, really. The soul in the conditioned state moves from one plan to another, from one identity to another, from one relationship to another. One body to another, one success to another. You can see all these people working down here in this picture. From one disappointment to another. Just moving. Brahmanta. We're moving constantly, but without Krishna, we're not necessarily going anywhere. It's round and round. Karma vartmasu means the pathways of karma, the lanes of action and reaction. This is not just talking about gross sins. That's not even what we're talking about. This includes respectable life, family life, career life, institutional life, even pious life. But the center is still, I am the doer, I'm the accomplisher, I'm the enjoyer, I'm the controller, and I am the one who must secure the outcome. This consciousness, Brahmanta, it keeps the soul wandering. So for progressive devotees, this is an important refinement. We may not identify with gross materialism. We're not going to do the barbecues and the beer and all that. We don't do that anymore. But we can still be absorbed in subtle, fruitive pathways. The need to be, the terminal need to be appreciated. The need to be right in an argument. The need to feel indispensable. The need to see immediate results from my service. The need to shape other devotees according to my expectations. These are next level. These are refined forms of karma vartmasu. Uddhav's honesty here. He's very humble. He's very honest. This honesty is refreshing. It's liberating even. He does not pretend that association with Krishna has made him careless about Maya. He says in effect that we are here, we are in this world. We are moving through complex pathways, but we are not without shelter. See? So, humility without confidence becomes discouragement. And confidence without humility becomes arrogance. See? Humility without confidence is discouragement, and confidence without humility is arrogance. So Uddhava combines both here. He says, yes, we are wandering, we are in a tough spot, yes, the darkness is difficult to cross, and yes, by Krishna Katha with devotees, we will cross. That's the confidence. See? So, focusing on Uddhava's humility, right? The devotee does not artificially deny his spiritual good fortune. But he never uses that fortune to become complacent. In our tradition, the closer one gets to Krishna, the more one feels dependence. He says, Vayam tu iha, we are here in this world. That's humble. He never thinks I'm above this danger. By saying we, he includes all of us, of course. He doesn't stand on a high platform and say, you people are wandering. He says, we are wandering. This is how spiritual leadership speaks, even if one's a leader. It opens a path that we travel together rather than creating some kind of distance. It's relevant for those of us who give guidance to others, who teach, who lead. The more we speak from shared dependence, the more people can hear. The more we speak as if we are beyond danger, the more our words become thin. We lose the connection. Uddhava's authority actually gets stronger with his humility. It doesn't mean he has no confidence. His confidence is only because Krishna and Krishna's devotees are his shelter. So when we guide others, we can say, yes, the path is difficult. Yes, Maya is strong. Please don't take it for granted. Yes, we are all conditioned, of course. But let us sit together now. Let us hear together. Let us chant together. Let us remember together. Let us cross together. That is Uddhava's mood. And what is the boat that we used to cross? Tvadvartaya tavake. We will cross by your topics, my Lord. Along with your devotees, not by myself. I need your circle. See? A community is not just people who share a building or share a calendar or share a project or a WhatsApp group or a management structure. A real Vaishnava community is people gathered around Krishna Katha in the mood of service. Tvadvarta. Varta means talks of Krishna, his names, his forms, his sweetness, his pastimes, his instructions, his mission, his mercy. Tavake means those who are yours, people who are your people, your devotees. It's very sweet. Your folks, these are your tribe, Krishna. Tavake means devotees, and that means devotee association is not some kind of optional decoration. The sound that we engage in, this sound vibration, becomes powerful, especially powerful when carried through the hearts of devotees. Why? Because hearing is not just an information transfer. It is consciousness transfer. It is a transformation. When a devotee speaks from realization, the words carry faith. They have special potency. And when we hear in association of progressive devotees, our own faith is protected. Alone, the mind can twist even sacred truths into criticism, cynicism, abstraction. A mind is very rascal like that. But in association, Krishna Katha becomes warm, relational, accountable, alive. So for progressive devotees, the question is, what kind of association are we creating around this Krishna Katha? Is it merely analytical? Is it merely sectarian? Is it merely entertainment? Some people approach it that way. Or does it help devotees remember Krishna, help us become humble, forgive each other, serve with steadiness? Does it help us cross the darkness? This verse assures that the crossing is not achieved by isolation. Uddhava says, we'll cross, but with your devotees. Tavake dustaram tama. We cross by hearing from them, by serving them, by tolerating them, by being corrected by them, and learning to see Krishna's mercy through them. The next phrase is smaranta kirtayanta, remembering and glorifying. These are not separate hobbies. They're two movements of one spiritual life, remembering and glorifying. Smaranam, remembering. It takes Krishna inward, closest in our heart. Smarana, I remember you, my Lord. And Kirtana brings it outward. glorifying outwardly. Remembering protects us, protects our inner life, protects us from becoming hollow. And glorifying protects the outer life from becoming mundane. So a devotee who only speaks but doesn't remember internally can easily become a professional or a performer, performative. Devotee who only remembers but does not glorify may become so private and disconnected from the mission of mercy to give to others. That's important too. Uddhava brings both together. We remember, we glorify. We receive and we redistribute. We distribute, yes. We contemplate, yes, Krishna. And then we proclaim Krishna. See, we have to do both. What is it? What is that we remember and glorify? Te kritani gaditani cha. That's in this verse. Your deeds and your words. It includes Krishna lifting the Govardhan, playing the flute, speaking Bhagavad Gita, protecting Draupadi, stealing butter, joking with the cowherd boys, speaking with Uddhava, consoling the Pandavas, guiding the Yadus, so many things. Krishna's words give us the doctrine. Krishna's deeds give us the baseline of relationships. We need both philosophy and Leela Katha. We need Tattva Katha and Leela Katha, both. The pastimes and the philosophy. Philosophy without Leela, without pastimes, can become dry and combative, argumentative. And Leela without philosophy can become sentimental and vulnerable to misunderstanding. We need both. Prabhupada said that in the Bhagavad Gita also, right? Religion without philosophy, sentiment. Philosophy without religion is dry speculation. So we can ask ourselves, what is it that fills my mental space during the day? What do I rehearse internally? Do I constantly think of my wounds and my responsibilities and my arguments and social comparisons? Look at there and that guy and this. Or do I really remember Krishna's words and his deeds? The mind becomes shaped by what it repeatedly remembers. Uddhava is teaching us how to sanctify the memory itself. So wonderful. Kritani, gaditani, gati, usmita, ikshana, kshveli. These are words. What are these words from the verse? He doesn't say only that remember your teachings. He says remember your deeds, kritani, your words, your movements, gati, your broad smiles, utsmita. Smita means smile. What smile comes from smita? Your glances, ikshana, and your playful, loving exchanges, kshveli. I don't see this word that often. It's very sweet. Gati utsmita ikshana kshveli. This is not an abstract God. This is Krishna as a person. Supreme absolute truth. He walks, he smiles, he glances, he jokes, he loves, he attracts. He enters relationships so deeply that his devotees remember the tilt of his smile and the movement of his body. This is a special gift of the Bhagavatam. It does not allow us to reduce God to power or to a law or to a light or to void or to distant majesty. It reveals the irresistible personality of Krishna. And for progressive devotees, this is central to the theology of rasa, loving exchange. The heart is not conquered by philosophical or metaphysical correctness alone. The heart is conquered by beauty, affection, and loving exchange. We chant. When we chant, hear, and serve, are we allowing Krishna to become personal to us? not imaginary, not cheaply intimate, but personal, through Shastra, through Guru, Sadhus, through service. The more we hear properly, the more the holy name becomes filled with form, qualities, and Leela. This is why Prabhupada spent so much energy giving us books and temples and deities and festivals and kirtan and japa and prasadam and service. He gave us all these gifts. He was not creating just religiosity or some kind of religious culture. He was creating an environment in which Krishna's movements, his smiles, his glances, could be remembered throughout the day. See? Structure. Now, the most profound phrases. Niloka vidambanam. Vidambanam, you see this word quite a bit in Queen Kunti's prayers. It's bewildering. Krishna's pastimes are so similar to ordinary people's pastimes in the way they look. It bewilders us. That's why many people misunderstand Krishna. Some people reduce him to a myth. Some reduce him to a moral allegory. Some reduce his leelas, his intimate pastimes, to mundane romance. And others become uncomfortable and retreat to a safer distance, an image of God only as majestic and distant. The Bhagavatam asks us for a more refined understanding. That Krishna's human-like Leela is a supreme mercy to us because it really makes him more approachable. The absolute truth is approachable. He's lovable. You can have a relationship with him. When the king plays with his young child on the floor, he hasn't lost his kingship, okay? He is revealing a more intimate facet, dimension of himself. Similarly, when Krishna becomes a coward boy, which he always is, but when he shows that part, when he shows a part of a lover or a friend or a son or charioteer, he's not become less divine. He's become more accessible to love. So for those of us who are trying to advance, this phrase, Niloka vidambanam, it protects two things. It protects the reverence, but also protects the intimacy that Krishna wants us to enter into. We cannot make the mistake of making Krishna ordinary. Neither should we make the mistake of making him inaccessible. The sweetness of Raja is that the Supreme Lord allows himself to be bound by affection. What is this power of sweetness? This conjugal love that, Uddhava mentions. Okay. Yes. Pure love means Krishna is the center. And the devotee's only happiness is his happiness. These highest leelas are not mundane romance. They are the fullest revelation of selfless love. Of course, we don't want to cheapen these things. We want to learn it through Prabhupada, through the Acharyas. And so his meditation, this Uddhava's meditation, shows us this highest form of remembrance. Of course, the purport talks about forced austerity versus devotional absorption, and how hearing and chanting are so much more effective than some kind of external display of renunciation, vairagya. And I'm going to conclude here. The purport quotes this verse, Iha yasya hare dasye, that one lives in service to Hari with body, mind, and words in all circumstances. That person is considered liberated. We may still have duties, deadlines, families, and institutions, and so on. The question is, what current carries the heart? This is the bridge from Uddhava to us. We may still move through the external pathways of work, but internally we can choose the current of Krishna Katha. We can turn our commute into japa, our meals into prasad, our homes into places of worship, speech into glorification, memory into smaranam of Krishna, and relationships into opportunities to serve Krishna's devotees. So the application is simple, but it's deep. First, hear Krishna Katha every day with the seriousness of a drowning person receiving a boat. Second, seek devotee association with respect in a way that increases our remembrance, not just our activity. And third, practice remembering Krishna's words, his deeds, his smiles, his glances, his pastimes, so the Lord becomes personally present in the heart. Rely on the higher taste. Then Uddhava's confidence can become our confidence. Although we're wandering in this world, by Krishna's topics with his devotees, we will certainly cross the insurmountable darkness. So thank you very much for your kind attention and your valuable time. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for, once again, the nectar-filled Krishna Katha, what current carries our hearts. You just make these verses come alive and make them so accessible to every walk of life so we could really apply them to our daily life. And I really appreciate that. We only have 1 minute for now. Gurudev, can you stay for the after?
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
okay.
Maybe we can take questions after.
Yeah, because I think they're
But
gonna.
what we can do in a moment, the Bhakti Center will reveal the divine form of the Lord. We can take full advantage of this revelation as we give our full attention with our eyes. Let's see if we can pin that. I'm going to make that I'm going to spotlight Bhakti Center. And let us welcome the Lord with our hearts. And if you like, you can turn on your cameras. Make it a two-way darshan, so the Lord can also see you. Hare Krishna.
lotus feet of our spiritual master, by the only way by which we can obtain pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is a perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates, and by him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. May your fame spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter at your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, would anybody like to ask His Grace a question or comment, realization? Jamuna Jaya said she has no words. The class was so nectar-filled, it speaks for itself. Hare Krishna. So I'm not sure who raised their hand first, but I will go with Mother Gail. Bhima will get to you next.
Bhima Prabhu is acting humble.
Mhm.
Gil.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, I was just thinking when you were saying that even if we don't feel humble, there's no harm in going through the motions of humility. Like, we may not feel like bowing down, but we bow down anyway. So when you were saying like that, I was thinking that yes, we may go through the motions of humility, but I think it's also important while we are doing that to remember that the fact that I'm not actually there yet. So in other words, my point is I think we should be careful of not fooling ourselves into thinking that we're more humble than we are just because we are trying to emulate those who are humble. So I think it was probably more of a comment than a question, or, what do you think of that actually?
Yes, thank you, Gail, for that good comment. Of course, we know there's a difference between practicing humility and performing humility, right? We practice humility when we consciously choose a humble behavior because we know our heart is not yet pure. For example, we offer respect, we listen carefully, we apologize, we accept corrections, we avoid self-praise, self-promotion, we serve others. And we do that even if internally we still feel pride. We do that. That is not hypocrisy. You see, that's culture, that is sadhana. Just like we're chanting, even before we have pure love for the holy name, we're chanting. Similarly, we also act humbly before we have pure humility. Now, like you said, there's a danger there, and it's a very important danger that we have to keep in mind. It becomes pretension. You see, when Prabhupada said, act humble, he didn't say, now pretend and project. See, act humble means do these humble things. Even though, listen carefully, bow down, those things, do them. It becomes pretension when the mind shifts the goal from pleasing Krishna to impressing others. If I if I'm acting humbly for the goal that people will think, what a saintly devotee, then that acting, that pretension, that humility, quote unquote, has become another ornament for my false ego. We know that. That's childishness. So how do you balance this? It's a good, it's a good question. It's subtle, right? The subtle question of the good. How do you balance this? We balance it. We can act humble externally and be honest internally. A devotee can think, I'm not purely humble yet, but I'm practicing the behavior of a humble servant because this is pleasing to Guru, it's pleasing to Krishna and the Vaishnavas. And then we pray, my Lord, please make this real in my heart. That prayer protects us from becoming pretenders. So Prabhupada's point is very practical. He said act in the right way. He did say act humble. If you're not feeling humble, still act humble. So he's saying act in the right way. The heart gradually follows. It's like, we tell, sit properly when you're chanting japa. So if you sit properly, it shows that you're interested in Krishna. We may not be interested, but it now creates a subtle message for our own mind. This is a serious thing that I'm doing. Similarly, when we act humble, it reinforces the message that, okay, I should feel this way too. So we don't wait to become humble before behaving humbly, but we also do not congratulate ourselves for appearing humble. See? So we practice humility as a discipline, not as a display. That's the key difference. Let others see your service, sure, but we don't want to secretly feed on their praise. That cup of praise that comes to us is actually, they have given the praise in sincerity. We accept the cup in sincerity and thank them, but don't drink from it. You pass on that cup to your mentors, to Prabhupada, to the acharyas, and thank them. That's only because of their mercy I'm doing anything at all. We don't drink from it, because we are made of their mercy. So we act humble, we pray to become humble, and continue to remain aware that the real thing is yet to come, but it'll come through mercy. And people may judge us too. He's a devotee, he's such a pretender. That's okay. We can't really shape what people think about us. We know we're not perfect. If people expect us to be perfect because we're wearing tilak, we try to let them know, look, I'm just a practitioner, I'm trying, so please don't judge the whole devotee or the devotional process by my behavior. I'm in no way perfect representative of the process. The process is great. Don't judge the shower by how dirty I am. The shower is working fine, I'm just starting to scrub, you see. So the process is fine, the shower is working just fine, the soap is fine, I just started scrubbing, please forgive me. And then this way we can remain humble. This way going through the motions becomes genuine spiritual training, not hypocrisy. Is that okay, Gail?
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. We have Bhima Prabhu and then Venu Madhuri Mataji.
Haribo, Maharaj, I just wanted to say that when I listen to your class, I come to just accept the simple fact that what you are saying and how you are saying it solidifies my faith that I'm in the right place at the right time. I don't know if I just made sense then, but what I'm saying is that I really am inspired by your unique and gentle take on Krishna consciousness, and that it increases my faith that when I look to the devotees like yourself, Radhanath Maharaj, etc., etc., um, who exemplify what it is to lovingly and gently offer up the sweetness and beauty of Krishna consciousness. So I just wanted to say that as a moment's appreciation. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mia Prabhu. It really means a lot to me, these words of encouragement. I take them to heart, and I pray that I can live up to them someday. So thank you again. It's humbling as well as encouraging. Coming from someone as senior as yourself, it really means a lot. Thank you. Venu Madhuri Mataji, followed by Narottam Nitai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, dear Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I'll add to the choir of Bima's praise there, and just say everything about your class was so moving, straight into the heart, and it's just, you also embody everything that you're talking about so perfectly, and it's such a, as my god sister said at the beginning, such a privilege to be following you. And also just wanted to compliment you on your slides. They were exquisite. They were really next level beauty, and really helped deliver the points that you were making. I wanted to ask about, I really appreciated everything you said, but the word urgency really stood out to me when you were talking about, Uddhava asking us, are we really reading Krishna Katha understanding that it's a lifeline? And, with a requisite sense of urgency. And I was reflecting on my own reading and listening. And I think, when I read Srimad Bhagavatam, for example, I'm not reading it as philosophy. And I'm not intellectualizing it. And I do feel like I'm reading it with a real sense of reverence, but I don't feel any urgency when I'm reading it, that you're awakening this realization in me that I don't feel any urgency when I'm reading it. And so I'm wondering if you could explain a little bit more about that sense of urgency, if it's any different from any other way we feel a sense of urgency in Krishna consciousness, like we only have so much time, or we only have this human life, or there are places like that where it's maybe easier to feel a sense of urgency. But with Katha in particular, could you say more? Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for this question. Just thinking for a second. Think of how Uddhava is framing it. Like I said, Uddhava is not merely saying this is helpful. Krishna Katha, it's helpful. No. He's saying we are wandering, right? Brahmanta. We are wandering in the dark. And this is how we'll cross. This is the way. So the analogy paints a picture of urgency. We have to enter into that analogy. Not panic. It's not anxiety. But this deep realization, without Krishna Katha, my mind will be carried elsewhere. You see, that's the key. What is the darkness that I'm afraid of? What is that hole? What is the ditch? The ditch is not physical ditch. The ditch is my mind will be pulled by some other Katha, because Katha is always happening somewhere. Either Krishna Katha or Maya Katha. That is the danger. The first step is to admit our condition honestly. Right? The line is what? Brahmanta karma vartmasu. Brahmanta means we're wandering in this pathways of karma and duties and anxieties and memories and desires and roles and fears. These drive us heavily. They have their own katha. Each of these have their own cantos. Our fears have their own cantos. Our insecurities have their own chapters. Our duties have their own purports. We don't want to be stuck in those purports, which we write ourselves. If I think I'm fine, Srimad Bhagavatam is just an enrichment, morning thing we do 3 times a week, Bhakti Center if I have time, then there's no urgency. But if I understand my consciousness is being shaped and pulled every day by what I hear, by what I watch, what I dwell on, what I discuss, what option on YouTube I choose this morning. If we keep that in mind, then Krishna Katha becomes our protection. So then how do we read Srimad Bhagavatam with urgency? Not by rushing. You don't rush to it. Parikshit had 7 days. I don't know if I have 7 hours. Let me just... No, we don't need to be like that. Okay? Of course, that sense of urgency has to be there. Urgency does not mean speed. Urgency means need. I need this. I need it badly. That's urgency. A person drinking medicine doesn't, if it says, 3 times a day and this bottle should last you a whole month, he said, let me just finish it in one shot. No. Take it carefully, diligently, because he knows his life depends on it. Similarly, we read Bhagavatam slowly, prayerfully, deeply. And every time we read, we should ask, where am I in this verse? That's why if you notice, I try to take apart every word in the verse. And really, that's why we really get deep into one verse. Not that we use the verse as a diving board to some other tangent. Let's get into the verse itself. There's so much richness in every word. So you notice every slide I just got into a few words at a time. That's a good way to approach it, I think. Where am I in this verse? What illusion in me is this verse exposing? And we have all flavors, and this Bhagavatam is so rich, it shows all kinds of flavors. What is Krishna asking me to remember? What would I do differently today if I actually believed this verse? I actually don't believe it. I'm reading it, I'm having faith, but if I really believed it, what would my behavior look like differently today? So this turns it turns it from information to a rescue mission. You want to move from information to transformation. So we can also create urgency by reading with devotees, because sometimes Uddhava says, Tavake, your people. When I hear Krishna Katha with your people, it's like, when we get together with devotees sometimes, like right now, and we hear different facets of the same verse, it's so nice because that helps us. So we should connect with the Bhagavatam and take one small point in our life. Like for example, today I will not complain because Krishna is guiding me. Usually I'm a complainer, big time. I'll take a break from complaining today because this is the message I feel from Bhagavatam. Or maybe some other day you can say, today I'll remember that material success cannot remove my fear. I'll remember that. Because we actually think it does. We are convinced that if I hit a certain number, I will not have fear anymore. Certain number in my bank account, the moment I reach it, no more fear. No, we think that. It's not true. Our fear only increases. But today I'll remember that now. Things like that. See, then it becomes not just a morning reading, but it becomes a lens through which we can live, through which we can see our life. That's urgency. Is that okay, Venu Madhuri Mataji? Thank you. Narottam Nitai Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Please go ahead.
Nonetheless, Hare Krishna. I really like your class, and one question I wanted to ask. One thing I wanted to say about humility is last night I read chapter 3 of Queen Kunti's Prayers, and I'll read just the last sentence really quickly. Although she understands everything, she still takes the position of an ordinary woman and says, quote, "How can I understand you?" This is humility. And my question is regarding a topic of Prajalpa, which is nectar instruction, verse 2. And I know that in Krishna consciousness, that in reference to like the bhajan, Nityananda Mahajan, I know that like when we're chanting and we're reading, it makes, we make a lot of progress. However, sometimes when we have to do our duties in the material world and people talk about mundane topics, like politics and other things. Sometimes I feel that our consciousness, sometimes, well, I get reminded that things I say actually have an impact on my Krishna consciousness, even though it's not directly related to lectures I hear, not directly related to Krishna in the sense of what I say, not directly from Srila Prabhupada's books, not directly from self-realization, but just, so just things that I might say here and there. It's kind of reminding me of Prajalpa. And I wanted to ask, I'm not become a Paramahamsa now. I can't like retire in Vrindavan right now. So like, I just wanted to know, how can I curb that propensity to engage in the material world and having to maybe speak about mundane topics and not do that, and instead like curbing towards simply Krishna consciousness? Because I also feel that when a person makes that decision, there's also a paradigm shift that might happen, and that changes how our relationships are structured, what people expect from us, etc. So, uh, just wanted to ask that question: that is it okay for us to kind of maybe tolerate and live with a little bit of that principle, as long as we're aware that we can always turn to Krishna, and our next step forward is like um just the next step in life, whether it be grahastha life, vanaprastha, etc. I just wanted to know, how do we how can I understand that nuance, and try and curb that and just become fully Krishna conscious, if you understand my question.
Yes, thank you. Narottam Nitai Prabhu, this is a great question. This is one of the verses of Queen Kunti, I believe you mentioned. Those prayers, by the way, are worth remembering, memorizing. I think this is the one. It says, Tatha Paramahamsanam Muninam Amalatmanam Bhakti Yoga Vidhanartham Katham Pashyemahi Striya. How can we women remember you? Even great Paramhamsas and Munina, they have a hard time. What am I? I'm just an ordinary woman. So this, she's giving her humble position, and we can learn from it. And I'm glad you quoted that. It's a good one for the point you're making. She's not pretending to be fallen. She's actually the exalted mother of these pure devotees, the Pandavas. And yet before Krishna, she said, I'm just a woman, I have no quality. Back then, women weren't educated, although she was one of the most educated women, but she was just saying, Her point was, I have no qualification except your mercy. So that is a humility. It's a sweet humility. It's not self-hatred or self-loathing or self-despising. It's not even insecurity. It's a clarity of vision. Whatever I have spiritually is, Krishna, your gift, not my achievement. And that's the point. That's the point. You gave me this gift. I didn't build it up with my hands. I didn't create it. There's nothing in my power to create bhakti. Bhakti is a gift that comes from above. And you've given it to me, my Lord. And I know I don't even deserve it. And therefore I'm celebrating my extreme good fortune. That's humility. Now your question is very practical. We can chant, we read, we feel purified, and then we enter into the world of conversations with other people, opinions, politics, workplace talk, family talk, the color of the makeup that our president wears. So many things we talk about. Where do you even buy that orange shade? Anyway, so we may speak too much. We become judgmental. We can become defensive, become sarcastic. We become absorbed in the worldly subjects. We can't help it. We're living in the world. If it's raining, you can't. No umbrella is going to save you from at least a few drops. Okay. You can't help it. But then we get absorbed, and then we wonder, am I making any progress still? So the first point is not be discouraged. The fact that you notice the effect of these conversations means your consciousness is already becoming refined. You're noticing it. You're worried about it. And it's good to worry about these things. It means now you become alert to it. That's huge. You're greatly fortunate for even asking this question. A couple of days ago, we were talking about Bhagavatam, and the verse was, your question is glorious. So I want to tell you, your question is glorious. Am I making progress? I'm worried about this effect of prajalpa. You see, earlier we may have enjoyed prajalpa without even detecting the contamination. Now the heart feels, hey, this did something to me. I don't like it. I'm feeling something in my belly. What did I eat? That sensitivity is progress, you see. We have to become intelligent, of course. Prajalpa does not only mean speaking nonsense for hours and hours. It can also mean speech that pulls our heart away from Krishna. And sometimes even necessary topics. It's actually sometimes necessary to talk these things, politics and today's news and management, logistics for the family and world events. This, it is important when we're living in the world, we have to talk about these things. We have to. You can't escape it. They can become prajalpa or we can escape them. They become prajalpa if they awaken in us anger, pride, envy, sense of superiority, mindset of criticism. So the question, Narottam Nitai Prabhu, is not only what did I talk about, but is also, the real question is, what did this conversation do to my remembrance of Krishna? You have duties. You have to talk. Arjuna didn't leave the battlefield and say, I only want peaceful Vraj Krishna Katha. No. Krishna asked him to fight, but to fight in consciousness of him. So Arjuna still has to, concur and meet with his generals and this and that, and talk strategy and understand the mentality of Duryodhana, mentality of Karna, and they talk all night about these things. He has to. It's part of his bhakti now. You see, because that's part of the war. Our goal is not artificial isolation. Our goal is to carry remembrance of Krishna into our duties. So, before we enter into worldly conversations, we can pray silently. Make a habit to pray. Krishna, let me speak only what is useful, what is truthful, what is kind, and what is connected to my service. If it's useful, truthful, kind, connected to service. This is, by the way, Krishna has given these guidelines in the Gita. Just be pleasing and so on, be truthful. And then while we're having the conversation, keep checking. Is it necessary? Is it helping me? Is my ego starting to enjoy this? Then we cleanse the mind. After working with the greasy engines or something, you have to wash your hands. Can't then go to the kitchen and start eating potato chips with those black greasy hands. You have to wash them. So after such conversations, cleanse the mind, chant a few holy names attentively, read one verse, think about some leelas, bow down mentally to the Lord, mentally offer the whole interaction to Krishna. Krishna, help me purify this. Don't let the residue sit in the heart. See, because everything we do has a residual effect. Take a look at the residue. Does it need to be washed? Does it need to be, use special lava soap for this one? Sometimes we do. So when we do speak wrongly, then humility means we don't collapse into a bundle of guilt. Healthy guilt is okay. But we simply admit, yes, my tongue, my Lord, still needs purification. I can't stop criticizing this political party or that political party, and I still need purification. Come on. I like certain flavors, but I'm dependent on your mercy. This is Queen Kunti's mood, the one you brought up. She doesn't claim purity, that this is my possession. No. She stands before him as a dependent. She says, I'm conditioned. I'm a woman. I'm conditioned to think like a woman trapped in this particular stratum of society. But I'm turning to you, my Lord. Would you please help me? So, practical tips I can offer. Reduce avoidable prajalpa. Spiritualize necessary talks. And then purify accidental contamination quickly. Wash your hands. We don't want to become fanatical and become rude. I know that's something that we're all worried about. I can't talk to you now anymore because all this is Maya. So please don't talk to me about this. That's kind of rude, actually. We don't want to do that, that can become pride in the dress of purity again, okay? So neither should we be casual and think, it doesn't matter what I hear and speak, let it all. No, it'll shape our consciousness. You have to balance it out. It's a great question. It's not easy. None of these questions in this circle are easy. But these are different pathways we can think about to keep us strong and guarded. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I know we are a bit over time, but we do have one question in the chat. Would I be able to?
Let me see. I didn't see the question.
Krishna Goda, Hare Krishna. Hi there, teacher. I'm 58 old, unmarried, living in India, very poor, small agriculturalist. Why is my body always sluggish, rigid, tamasic, illness? What's the answer?
Krishna Gauda. Hare Krishna. You're living in India as an agriculturist. Yes. And the question is, why is my body always sluggish, rigid, tamasic?
Krishna Gauda.
Sorry, someone was saying something? Okay. Krishna Gauda. Okay. So yes. I'm sorry you're feeling this way. It's a real thing. At age 58, if, say, the body is sluggish and rigid or dull, we should not think only that, am I tamasic? Sometimes the body can become heavy because of medical or dietary or sleep or lifestyle reasons or emotional reasons. There's many angles to this. It's not just one facet. So I want to be sensitive to possibilities here. Even from a very practical standpoint, like Prabhupada, when devotees would write to him, I'm feeling this way or that way, Prabhupada would give very practical advice, like maybe you're anemic, he would say. Maybe your B12 is low or low iron. And he would actually prescribe some natural remedies and things. Prabhupada is very practical about these things. Another possibility is a thyroid imbalance. Low thyroid can make one sluggish, or stiff, sleepy, mentally dull. It's not that you're in tamaguna, it's just a thyroid imbalance. It could be sugar imbalance. Diabetes can cause all these things. I'm not saying you have them, I'm just saying these are possibilities. Vitamin D deficiency. Although it's unlikely you have that because you probably get a lot of sun. But dehydration can do that as well. Sleep or quality of sleep. Mental stress. Even though you may sleep a good number of hours, but the depth of sleep may not be there. So spiritually, tamagun means the body has become covered by inertia, heaviness, helplessness, lack of enthusiasm, and so on. But we should not condemn ourselves. I'm just a tamasi person. There's no hope for me. No. Body's a machine. Sometimes the machine needs repair, needs fuel, needs, our machines need sunlight and movement and rest. So maybe you can try little things, little steps. Wake up early, bathe, sit in sunlight a little bit more than you might normally do, chant Hare Krishna softly, walk daily, maybe eat fresh sattvic food only. Don't eat food that was cooked the day before. Even if you put it in the fridge, just don't eat it. Make just a little bit, eat fresh the same day. Reduce fried things, stale things. Reduce overeating at night. Just eat a little bit if you have to. Make sure you hydrate enough, be drinking enough water, and be getting enough electrolytes. And keep the mind away from too much worry and negative talk. That's a big thing, Even modern doctors say stress is causing 50% of your physical problems. Stress you can remove by thinking of, healthily thinking of Krishna and seeing perspective spiritually. These things are not so important. If possible, get a blood test. I'm just giving practical suggestions. They'll tell you if you're deficient in certain vitamins, D or B12 or something like that. They'll tell you if you have a thyroid imbalance. But we can pray. We can pray to Krishna. Krishna, this body is your instrument. I'm trying to be your devotee. Please help me use it in your service. Please remove this dullness. Please give me strength. Give me clarity. Give me devotion, please. So don't feel hopeless. Sluggishness is not your identity. It is not who you are. You are the eternal, bright, glowing servant of Krishna. That's who you actually are. Maybe a little bit of medical care, some discipline, Krishna's mercy. The body and mind can become a little bit lighter, and you can serve Krishna with a smile. I hope that helps, Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you,
We're out of
Gurudev.
time. We're well over time. We're eagerly waiting for the junior choir.
Yes, yes. Annabelle, Isaiah, are you available?
Annabelle's iPad is visible. There she is. And Sage and Sky look like they've been anxious to start singing. So let's go for it.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Bravo. Thank you all for class. And as we go throughout our day, maybe we can ask ourselves, what current carries our hearts? What current is carrying our heart throughout the day? Thank you so much for coming to the Bhakti Center Morning Bhagavatam class. See you soon. Hare Krishna.